too hot. But then Solar said, like, no, don't turn it down too much, because then I'm going to get cold. So I think they found a middle way.
Yeah.
Both players are happy. Let's get this lower bracket best of 5 started. We are in the top 6 of this tournament. The loser will just enjoy Utrecht for the remaining part of this weekend. The winner will still have a chance to win TSL 9 for the first time in their career. That goes for everyone in this tournament. Bottom right side, we're looking at the main base of the Italian stallion himself, still representing Kaisi Gaming. This is a Reynor.
Oh, he's back. He's got that jive going and spawning up at the top left. He's chilled out, but we want to see him heat up. It is Onside Gaming's Solar.
I was like, do I have to finish it? Step yes. Like, what's the boss?
You know, I wanted to get that suspense, leave it hanging for just a little bit.
I do feel excited for this series, because
yeah.
this is where it's really obviously upper bracket is always fun, and it's super cool to see this amazing run of Showtime. But this is do or die. This is what it all comes down to. There are no more second chances. Had a little chat with Reynor before this series as I met him outside, and basically he said he's mostly worried about, well, I can't quite say what he said, but let's say silly stuff. You know, that's what he's worried about. And I was like, well, what kind of silly stuff are we talking about? And he gave a couple of examples, but basically the extreme of the very common Zerg builds. Like, yeah, you can make a roach attack, but you can also do it with less drones, more extreme, more committed. Yes, mutas are popular, but you can also be crazy greedy and go into mutas. And that's the kind of stuff that he's worried about. He feels that if the games are somewhat normal, if the games play out in a relatively fair manner, where they're working with the same tools, he's very confident that he can bring this one home.
Yeah, and I mean, to expand on that point, that's why he picked up Protoss in a serious fashion, is he was tired of the randomness, and it was specifically Solar that kind of triggered that a little bit with the kind of random, you know, hyper-aggressive setups, some good greed. We even saw Solar in the upper bracket versus Serral earlier going for a very clever all-in on Data C, where he made it look extremely macro, really caught Serral off guard, made him overdrone like crazy. We even saw Serral like going for a small Bane run by that got some drones, but it was just like, you know, even that was more security feeling for Serral. But in reality, he was getting all in and he just got run over. Serral did go on to win that series 2-1, but Solar really made him work for it.
And there was that game on Stargazers between those two where I actually thought it looked pretty good for Solar, but then he tried to end it again, and he kind of gave away his lead in that best of 3. That was in TSL 9, right? Solar Serral?
It was, yeah.
And they played on Stargazers where it actually looked promising for Solar, but then he kind of threw away his lead, and he all-ined in a scenario where he truly didn't need to all-in. But these are all games from the past, and none of that is relevant for these two right now on this very moment, as they are playing roughly 100 meters away from us. Reynor is the first one to fire up 12 Zerglings. Could just be a little bit of a skill check on the other side of the map, wants to make sure that maybe Solar is not playing overly greedy, that Solar will be forced to make a couple of defensive banelings, but perhaps Reynor can even snatch a queen or so.
Yeah, there's definitely some decent potential for that. He's got the hidden banelings. Oh, but Solar on the... Oh, he was rallied to the high ground.
Are you kidding?
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Second link.
I mean, he sees them, but they are going to finish.
But these are not the only banelings, by the way. There are still a couple of other banelings morphing on the left side of the map. But Reynor is able to save both of these two banes.
Nice.
Now, these two banes have a lot of potential in natural. Because Solar is going to be very focused on this little attack. But there's a queen on hold position that's going to keep those banelings outside. But like I said earlier, Reynor can probably still find a queen. And that queen is low on HP, and that queen will fall.
Oh, beautiful manual detonation right there at the last second. That he got it at both opposite ends and gets 5 lings at the very end. Nicely done from Reynor. And yeah, successful.
Gonna make a few more links behind this. Maybe after losing everything, wants to make sure he doesn't find himself in the same scenario as he found himself in some of those ZVZs against Dongray Gu, where he just had, like, lost a few too many links to a baneling and then suddenly took more damage on the receiving end. And then by trying to make up for that, you can obviously be vulnerable to a follow-up attack. Solar is the first one to fire up roaches. It's 6 of them, plus 1 missile attacks is on the way. And building roaches this early can often only mean one thing. These are not defensive roaches. These are the kind of roaches that want to run to the other side of the map. Reynor is trying to scout. Will he see roaches? hatch. Like, these are the little things where there's some RNG in StarCraft. If he's there a second later, he does see these roaches. He's still building drones steadfast. He needs to stop building drones. He needs to start building his own roaches. I know the roach one is not done yet, but Reynor, even a spine crawler, or perhaps 2 spine crawlers could be useful here, because Reynor's got a massive economic lead, but he's got no units.
Yeah, this was such an unfortunate scout. Solar, he had that +1 missile on the way. He set it up. He sold the build. Unfortunately for Reynor, he wasn't able to get the scout, and this is exactly what he was struggling against, what he was worried about. No roaches on the field just yet. They're going to pop out, but they're going to pop out into a brutal situation. The spine crawlers, they're going to go down before they complete. The banelings are going to take them out, and this is looking... I mean, this is looking incredibly tough right here.
Yep, it's looking very dire. I do think the 2 defensive banelings found some good connections there, but Solar just had way more battle units on the other side of the map. Reynor tried to scout, missed it barely by like a second or 2. If those links would have been a little bit later, he could have gotten ready earlier. Then maybe your spines are done. Like, his roach arm wasn't done yet, so he wasn't going to be able to get defensive roaches out. But you can have a few more links, you can have a few more banelings. Queens can be in the correct spot, spines can be finished up. Sometimes a few seconds is all it truly takes in ZVZ. But now Solar takes the 1-0 lead. And now I do start wondering, right, if something like that would happen again, will the thought of playing Protoss sneak back into his mind? Or is it still just like, no, don't be silly. I'm great in ZVZ. I just need to make sure that I don't die to silly things. On the other hand, this is one of the bigger maps, right? So you would say if there is one map where you shouldn't die to a silly attack, like on a waterfall or an inside and out, the moon dance, that kind of stuff, yeah, little attacks can hit very quickly, very fast. They can catch you off guard. Cosmic Sapphire is supposed to be more of a macro-oriented ZVZ map where you're not supposed to die to these kinds of attacks.
Yeah, it certainly is. The problem is, it's that very severe difficulty to scout. Solar was able to hide the Roach Warren behind that. He took advantage of that 2-building wall. Very clever approach from Solar. And, I mean, it's extra brutal because you've got Raynor's map pick where he chooses that bigger map specifically
for that reason,
and then it backfires on him where the scouting is actually it's kind of turned against him a little bit. All you can see is that the +1 missiles wiggling away. Solar even canceled it a little bit early potentially, but it still was enough to fully sell the build. Great approach from Solar, and we'll have to see if this man can respond. Spawning down in the bottom left for Kites of Gaming. It is Reynor.
And that, of course, means that in the top right side of the inside and out, we are looking at the main base of our Korean Zerg, taking the 1-0 lead, representing no longer Kaisi Gaming, but he's now part of Onside Gaming. This is Solar.
Committing with him an offside right there with that build in game number 1. That was a very clever bit of shenanigans. You like to see it. If you are a Solar fan, Reynor, I mean, we've made it abundantly clear he does not want to see any more of that.
And now this is one of the smaller maps, obviously, right? Like, it's not the smallest map ever, but it's definitely relatively tiny. And that means that 12 pools are a realistic option. Even one base Ling Bane all-ins, or just a Ling Flood, or something crazy like a Spinecrawler Rush. And Reynor is playing this very safe. He's going pool before hatchery. So he says, like, all right, if you just go hatch first and I'm playing this build, I am in a little bit of an economic deficit, but I am willing to take that economic deficit because I just don't want to find myself struggling or misdefending against a 12 pool or any other random weird one base all-in.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that we expect from a player who's as confident as Reynor. Unfortunately, I think it backfired a little bit on him in GSL, where he went up against DRG, and he held the 12 pool brilliantly, and by all accounts, he should have been quite far ahead, but he actually committed a lot of lings to scouting. And I was watching, well, our lovely analysts, Lambo Harstam, they were kind of talking about things, and they were mentioning the fact that because of that additional commitment, because he was playing so safe, it nullified the lead he got from the excellent hold.
Yes, the hold was great, but I also think we're selling Dongregu short a little bit, because I think Dongregu just played phenomenal in the Roach Ravager battles,
he did.
right? Like,
he
yeah,
did.
It's a lot about early game often in ZVZ, but I do think it's important to give credit where credit is due, and Dongregu just kind of outpositioned Reynor once or twice when it came to pure Roach Ravager, and I'm sure that that's something that Reynor looked back at as well, and he's like, all right, lesson learned. Maybe he hasn't played that much ZVZ over the last few months, as we have our first little Link skirmish. It seems like Solar has plenty of units here to make sure that he is not going to struggle too much with these links of Reynor.
Oh, nice little split right there from Raynor. The Queen, though. Ooh, okay, a little tiny miss micro right there from Solar.
Bailing us immediately, by the way. Look at this, Solar holding down that link button. So Solar's like, all right, mate, you open up save against 12 pool. Now you threw away a couple of links. He's just gonna go for it, man. He's already building links. This is great. This is actually a really big moment in this tournament, in this best of 5. Because imagine if this does work and Raynor doesn't pick up on it. Raynor is not going to be ready for it. He would be down 0-2. He's getting his own bailing nest, but he's going up to 3 bases.
He is, and Solar does identify it. He's going to morph in a secret Bane there on the top.
Oh, no.
The Overlord does get in position, so at the very least, Raynor will see this.
This is big. This is actually very big for Solar. I kind of love it, man. It's like, all right, you lost a couple of links. Raynor is going to see this amount of links now. His Baning is about to finish up. I think a Spine Crawler could be useful if he has money for it, but he needs Banelings. He needs his own defensive Banelings, and he needs a lot of them. Keeping the 3rd hatchery alive, that seems like a bit of a pipe dream, but obviously Solar doesn't just want to cancel that hatch. Solar wants a whole lot more. We have 2 Queens on hold position on the ramp, sniping 1 Bane. The Banelings of Reynor are very close to finishing up. The first connection is really good, but Solar still has a lot of units here, but that was a phenomenal start for a potential defense for Reynor.
That was a brilliant Baneling connection. Oh, the lost Baneling just... Did he manually detonate that?
The last Baneling of Reynor went down to the splash damage of Solar. Now Solar still has a lot of links in the main base. Reynor's going to start losing drones here. He still has a 9 drone lead, but he can't lose too many. This seems like a very ugly drone fight. There is a morphing Bane in the mix as well. 11 drones have gone down. Reynor has extra units. Bailing a lot of drones clumped up. What an, oh my goodness, what a connection there for Solar. And just like that, it is all over. And Solar takes the 2-0 lead in this lower bracket.
Well, you asked me at the start of this game if the thought of switching to Protoss is sneaking into Raynor's head. I'm gonna have to say it just broke in with a crowbar. There is no way he's not thinking about that. Okay, yeah, we're gonna take a look at the instant replay. Oh, it was this. Yeah, wow, that splash damage barely gets that Bane. If that Bane stays alive, Solar can't force the ramp like that.
Loses more time. The Link's gonna have to run back again. Reynor gets a couple of extra defensive units out, and that was indeed a very big moment in that rush. Reynor, it looked promising for a while, but those final 2 Banelings, 1 Baneling splashing over the solid 15 drones or so. 1 more Baneling sneaks in there, connects with another 10. And that meant that Reynor was just too far behind economically. The next game is going to be played on Data C. 2-0 for Solar. And what a run that would be for him. Flying from Korea to the Netherlands to play in lower bracket immediately. A single best of 5 could have been the end of your tournament. Instead, he won his opening round yesterday. He won the 2nd round. Finds himself in day 2, and now he takes a 2-0 lead over one of the tournament's favorites.
Absolutely. He is 8-0 in maps. He has not yet dropped a map on the TSL9 LAN. But we have this man spawning down in the bottom left. He is under the gun. He is on the ropes. Can he turn it around? For Kaitza Gaming, it's Reynor.
Wouldn't be the first time in his career, but this man, he seems to be absolutely flying this weekend. 3-0 Classic, 3-0 Gabe, and now a 2-0 lead over the Italian runner-up of the Intox 3 Masters World Championships Katowice. This is our Korean Zerg representing On-Site Gaming, Solar.
What a showing out of Solar. After you mentioned it absolutely correctly, that he's been on a bit of a downswing for, Katowice. He still did well, but
the loss against Gabe,
he wanted so badly to win, and that was, it felt like his game. It felt like that was a 3-1 win for him, and then one bad engagement, things get out of hand. He forgets Bane Speed in Game 5. All of a sudden, you're out of the World Championships after incredibly high hopes, and then it hurts just a little bit more when the guy you lost to comes as close to beating Reynor as he did, and it was it feels like
it was more just that, like, Solar obviously respects Gabe a lot, and he will think of Gabe as a great player, but Solar will think down in his heart of hearts, I can defeat Hero Marine on the biggest stage. And if I'm playing potentially my biggest series of the year and I go up against someone like Hero Marine in the quarterfinals, that could have been a Maru, that could have been a Zero. Instead, I got Gabe, who's an amazing player, but Solo probably felt that that should have been a series that he was supposed to win. He didn't win it, and maybe that stuck with him for a while, and perhaps that's why he didn't perform all that hot in the few months after that. But he seems to be back, man, in full force. This is some of the best Zerg gameplay I've seen out of Solar in quite some time. He's on an 8-0 run here in TSL. Maybe the Netherlands was just the missing ingredient all along to that success in Solo's career. Who knows?
Absolutely. He's on his revenge tour right now, too. He, got knocked out by Big Gabe, gets the 3-0. Now he is, after suffering a few pretty rough losses to Raynor's Protoss in recent tournaments, now he turns it around. He's up 2-0 over Raynor. I mean, I'm believing. I'm really, really looking at what I'm seeing from Solar, and it's sparking a lot of joy.
He's playing very well. I love how decisive he was. I don't think that was necessarily his plan on the inside and out. I really don't think that he started a game. He's like, just gonna make a lot of Lings and Banes of like 20-ish drones and I'm gonna try to kill Reynor, because that normally seems like a silly idea, but I think it was just given this circumstance. It would be awesome if Fear Dragon could ask him about it if he does end up winning this series. Was that your plan, or did you do it because you realized, hey, Reynor has Lings already on my side of the map? This means that he obviously opened up pool before hatch. He was probably a bit paranoid, but now he loses a couple of Lings. This would be a great moment to just go pedal to the metal and never stop building Lings. And speaking of not stopping building Lings, we're building 14 Lings and we're following it up with a Roach one.
Yeah, no Baneling Nest. He is doing a big Speedling Flood. This is something Dark loves to do. This is something a lot of players are a big fan of. And there is going to be a Baneling Nest out for Raynor. But, I mean, Data C is pretty big. He's building 4 Banes, so yeah.
He's totally fine. And this link pressure is kind of fake as well, right? Like, obviously, if he would end up killing this hatchery, that's ridiculous. That is not supposed to happen. He is actually kind of sending it. He's going for the surround 1 Baning. That's a lot of damage for sure, but he does not get the kill. He's not supposed to get the kill. But the main reason why you make all these links is so the fighting happens on the other side of the map. And Solo obviously cuts a little corner by skipping out on the Baning Nest completely, goes straight into Roaches. And this is where Raynor scouting is going to be very, very important. I do not see any links moving on the other side of the map. I don't see any movement in the Overlords. Raynor needs to pick up on this ASAP. He sends a lot of the links back to make sure he doesn't lose the hatch, but that one little link scout is very important. He saw the Roach. He saw a Roach.
Huge stuff right there. We got the picture-in-picture showing us right there that he sees this setup, and I think with all the drones he's built, I think you need at least 2 spines. Yeah. I think you got to take this so seriously. There could be a Baneling Nest behind this. You got no idea. You have to treat this as though, well, I mean, this is his tournament life on the line right here.
Yeah. Raynor sends another Ling in. Okay, he's going to see a couple of extra morphing.
Okay.
I mean, he definitely has to know at this point. And we're saving some money. We're going to fire up 5 Roaches. Obviously, it's going to be slow Roach against slow Roaches. Could Solar potentially just kill this hatch and disengage? That's a tough call because he's down 11 workers. So killing a hatchery is fantastic. But if you're still down 11 workers, I think you want a little more than just the hatch.
Yeah, now, Oh, this is a nice lean counterattack from Reynor. The concept, very, very intelligent. Unfortunately, he gets stuffed right there. Ooh, we do see... Wait, well, no, that was just a couple of Lings. Yeah. Oh, and a big surround coming in from Solar, pinning him up against the wall. Gets a couple of kills right there. And we're just going to see both players drone out of this, but that's going to be Solar in a pretty significant lead in about a minute or 2. Probably 2 minutes.
Yeah. It's weird though, right? Because like, how much of an economic advantage does he really have? Like, he's still down in workers. Technically, Raynor should have space for 44 drones. Like, he's only going slightly over. Raynor is still mining more. He's going to be able to build a few less units, but we can't build too many units in this phase of the game anyway, when we're only working with 2 or 3 hatcheries and mediocre economies. I don't know if I would say that Solar has a big lead.
No. But I think in 2 minutes' time, it's gonna show up on that income graph. But of course, by that point, we'll have the hatchery rebuilt. It's not too bad, and you are right. It's gonna even things up. He should have gone for more with the amount of units he committed to. He should have at least tried to force the issue. I think he saw the Banes at the natural and said, "I forced out a ton of defenses," and That's what I'm focusing, because I think there was like 8 Banes when he saw it initially. Yeah.
I mean, Reynor definitely took it very, very serious. He wanted to make damn sure that he wouldn't take more damage besides losing the hatch. Solar has created that 3-worker lead for himself, but Reynor has 7 drones on the way. The 3rd hatchery is done, so in a weird way, I think this game is kind of stabilizing out. Solar does have the army supply advantage, and this is where it's very important for Reynor to keep on scouting. Reynor is working with 2 evolution chambers. No, he's not.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Okay. He's working with 2 evolution chambers. He's got the pneumatized carapace there.
I was looking at the wrong screen. I was like, this is crazy. I see 2 upgrades, but the structure tab says 1. Like, what is happening?
I don't know what the Control-O is on this keyboard. It's fine. We are going to be seeing Reynor. He does cut workers early enough, I think, but was he too far behind from the loss of that hatchery? Because Solar's got a pretty significant army supply advantage. The additional add-on of +1 carapace, I mean, Solar's just, he's going pedal to the metal. He hasn't built a drone in, you know, a minute and a half at this point. Oh, great deny on the, I think that was going to be a Ling Bane, well, I think it was going to be potentially a Bane run by or Bane morph or something. But either way, we are seeing now Solar moving across the map, looking for the kill, looking to complete a 9-0 run.
And Reynor was even building a Spina already, so he's taking this very serious, despite the fact that he has a lot of units. High ground advantage is sometimes a real thing. Nice connection on a couple of those corrosive balls there. Does Solar have enough roaches to keep these Ravagers safe? I feel like Solar's roach count is winning a little bit, but it still seems to be barely good enough. Reynor eats a few more of those corrosive balls to the face, but with the Spine finishing up, it does seem that Reynor is still going relatively strong. Could potentially try to make a dive for these Ravagers. We have a couple of Lings in the main base, causing a bit of extra chaos. But Solar is not looking for a bit of extra chaos, because he's working with 1 Evo Chamber against the double Evo Chambers of Reynor. That's a phenomenal hold by Reynor.
That was a brilliant hold from Reynor. An extremely scary situation. You mentioned that Spine finishing early. It was close enough, and the corrosive biles were good enough, that I wonder if without that Spine, maybe, just maybe, Solar does in fact break through. You know, those Lings, they just distract just enough. Oh, great defensive setup here from Reynor. We're going to see Solar, he's just going to disengage. But he starts his +2, but it's so much later. He needs to get something done.
He does have the Ravager advantage, right? And Ravagers, like we saw in some of those GSL Code S ZVZs, they can really make the difference. It's not all about that ability connecting, it's about forcing roaches to disengage over and over again. But Solar just did not have the numbers there, was down on upgrade, didn't have overwhelming numbers, couldn't quite keep the Ravagers safe. Reynor could get on top of those 3 Ravagers. He grabs the first one, and with a bit of I don't know, belief, determination, he should be able to get 1 more. Solar knows that he's in trouble, so he drops down a Spire. But I have a hard time believing that Reynor is just going to sit back forever and let that Spire finish up.
You just go right now. You've got 2-1. You've got your upgrade timing. You know you're ahead. You just took a great set of defensive fights, and this is your timing. This is what you were looking for, even without that Spire on the way. This is Reynor's time to strike, and he is just going to bulldog right up the ramp. He is going to force Solar behind his hatchery. That's going to give Reynor the better concave. Queen even blocking things up a little bit right there. Solar, he is going to get sandwiched now by the army that was killing the 4th, and it is going to be too much for Solar to handle. Reynor will send it to a game number 4. He's not going down without a fight.
Nope. He has found himself in that position time and time again throughout his career, where he is down 0-2. But this kid never truly stops believing in himself, and that's obviously the right attitude, and that's why he has won so many SC2 championships. And he looked good in that game, because that wasn't an easy game. And at one point, it felt that those roaches could have caught him by surprise, but he scouted. He scouted for the follow-ups. I feel like Reynor had a good read on the game. Perhaps the only thing that was a bit sloppy is taking that amount of initial damage on the hatchery, right? Because that wasn't even that much of a commitment by Solar. Yeah, it was kind of a funny game how it all worked out after that first big attack of 31 drones or so. It's like, yeah, Solar gets the kill on the hatchery, but that wasn't necessarily enough to put him in the lead.
I think it did put him in the lead, but it wasn't enough for him to do this follow-up and close the game out. Now we see defensively from Reynor, those were actually some very important Banelings. Well done by Reynor on an extremely stressful defense. well done right there. We saw there was a lot of corrosive biles did hit in on Reynor, but there was also 1 or 2 biles that landed pretty big on Solar's roaches. I think there was 1 or 2 particularly that hit 3 roaches, and I mean, if you even hit a single corrosive bile on 3 roaches, that's 180 damage. That's a lot of additional damage.
Well, after 3 games, we always take a little break, and you guys could already see Raynor storming out of that room. So I do believe that it's almost time to head into one. Solar can obviously think about everything that's happened in these first 3 games. Seems like Raynor is going for some fresh air. We are going to go ahead and take a little break ourselves, and after that, we'll be back with Game 4 between Solar and Raynor. We'll see you soon.
And we are back once again. TSL 9, Day 2, loser bracket match number 1, round of 6. This is where the rubber meets the road, isn't it, Kev?
I've never heard that one, but I'm going to assume that that is exactly what is happening over here at the Alienware training facility in Utrecht. It's been an explosive, short, but still very fun and interesting best of 5. And sometimes still put myself in the shoes of the players. Man, this kind of stuff's got to be so nerve-wracking. Like, tournament live on the line, you're playing ZVZ. Some of these maps are proper tiny. The Zerg units are so fast. Like, it really is not all about how well you can play. it's about how well you can keep everything under control and how well you can perform when it truly matters the most. Because you can play 20, 30 games at home from the ladder, you'll be chill, same circumstances as you always used to. Now there's just so much more that comes into play, and we'll see who's better at keeping the nerves under control and who's still able to do all the things they normally do in a ZVZ to reach their peak performance.
Absolutely. And we're going to see if he can continue what he started in game number 3. For Kitesu Gaming, it is Reynor.
And that of course means that in the bottom side of Tropical Sacrifice, we're looking at the main base of our yellow Korean Zerg, still enjoying a 2-to-1 advantage. And unless I am mistaken, that's a relatively early spawning pool. This is Onsite Gaming's Solar.
It certainly is. And this, I have, okay, well, I discussed this. I said, actually, during the other series, if it was ever a situation where it was game 5 and you had the opponent coming back from an 0-2 deficit and it was a Korean Zerg versus either Cyril or Reynor, the most specific stuff, I said that we would see a 12-pool drone pull. And we have got ourselves game 4. So I missed by the, I made the most specific thing ever. We're going to see if it's actually the drone pull right now. Ooh, it is a hatch gas pool.
Taking a look. Yep, so obviously it's a slightly bigger map.
Okay.
Solar is sending a drone to the low ground though, so he will just go for the 12 pool expand. This is still going to be interesting. It's going to be a fun little dance. It's obviously very important for Reynor that he doesn't end up losing his hatchery. And then at the same time, you don't want to lose too many drones. I often look at it and I was like, you know, 1 drone is almost inevitable. 2 drones is acceptable. 3 drones, you're not super happy with if that's your defense, but you can still work with it. But if you lose 4 or more, that's where you kind of start hating life, because you lose 4 drones and you lose a lot of mining time. So let's see how clean this defense of Reynor is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. It is going up to 20 drones, so he doesn't hold that larva. That's the disadvantage of scouting this just a little bit later. The drones do have a little bit of extra distance to travel down to the natural. We're going to see the setup coming on in here.
That's not too many drones.
No, it's actually not that many. Oh, Solar fighting with a few of his lings at first. I feel like Raynor's doing a very good job. Nice job. Tucks himself into the corner.
First lings are out. Can we get a drone drill going? Do we want to get a drone? Oh, that was sick, actually.
That was beautiful.
These drones, man, that burst damage.
Yeah.
That was a KO punch from all the drones stacking up at once. Now, a few drones are a bit exposed, but Raynor's drone micro has been absolutely fantastic so far. Does end up losing his first drone there, I believe. A couple of the other drones are very low in HP, but against Dong Regu in the GSO, he only lost a single drone. And we all thought that that was amazing. I think he's done it again. 1 drone, I believe it was.
That was stunning from Reynor right there. That was a brilliant defense. Extremely well done. Oh, and he gets the Spore Crawler morph. Brilliant stuff right there from the Italian Zerg player. You could see he even didn't want to have to do it. He pulled it just a little bit further, but he's able to rely on his mechanics. Oh, that stings a lot. Now, fortunately, it looks like he didn't get... Oh, actually, he did get supply blocked. I wasn't paying too much attention. He had another Overlord prepared, and he's got another one behind it. Oh, and now he's going to return the favor here.
Eye for an eye.
Yeah, it looks like Solar is also already prepared. Well, actually, no. No, that Overlord, he is going to get supply blocked for just a little bit. He was pre-preparing it. Oh, nice job. Nice snipe on a creep tumor. That's a nuisance right there for Solar. And
yep. I'm going to take a look at how Reynor was able... Okay, just that final drone. I actually think it would have been very fun to see some more of that drone micro and waiting for those links to hatch in the beginning. But all of that was good. Nice little save there by Reynor. Reynor's definitely got to be feeling it. He knows that he is in a perfectly fine spot, that he should be ahead. And now it's just important for Reynor to keep a close eye on everything that Solar is doing. Keep tabs on him. Is it 2-base Muda? Is there going to be a Roach Ling attack all in? Will Solar just go up to 3 bases but a lot later? And would Solar ever be okay with playing from that kind of a deficit in a normal ZVZ? Scouting really is the name of the game here. Solar is already firing up a lot of units. This man has no chill today.
No, he does not. His game plan right now, you're talking about that 3rd base. His game plan is to fake a 2-base Roach push with either that +1 missile, whatever, but he's going for a Speedling Flood. He wants to go for his own 3rd base and deny Raynor's 3rd. Unfortunately for Solar, his game plan is running into a very aggressive move, actually, from Reynor. And actually, Reynor just doing this as a pressure. So this could backfire a little bit. If we take a look at the lane count right now, I do think Solar has more. Yeah, he's got a fair number more, and he's...
Raynor could have gone for the hatch there, but Raynor instead wants to scout, and he sees a lot of lings. These are still slow Zerglings, but this amount of slow lings is a bit unusual. Raynor does get the cancel, so now Raynor knows that it's okay to even build a spine, I would say. He's going to fire up 16 of his own defensive lings. There is no Baneling nest on the side of Raynor, but he is a bit outnumbered, so he needs to be careful that he doesn't end up losing all these lings and then takes a lot of damage at home. Like, I wouldn't hate a spine here. I think one spine would actually make your life a lot easier. But the Reynor feels that if he just cranks out as many lings as possible and then starts building roaches, he is going to be fine.
Yeah, I think he is too. I got to agree with him right now. He's got the +1 missile on the way. He is... I mean, he's kind of cruising. I talked about game plans. Oh, you got to be careful right here. He is outnumbered in this particular fight.
Queens
oh, okay.
are great.
Yeah, he's fine, he's fine. Yeah. Yeah, and there was more roaches coming out, and like you said, Queen's adding on DPS. It looked for a second like he was going to get sandwiched on the ramp, but it's like, uh-oh, that's too many Zerglings to lose. But nope, he is fine. He knows what he's got in production. Of course, he's a world champion. We expect that from him, but still, well done by Reynor. I was talking about game plans. It's bad enough that the game plan didn't work for Solar, but it actually worked in reverse, where instead of canceling his opponent's hatch, he had to cancel his own third hatchery. Great job from Reynor right there.
Solar does have a very quick lair. Way quicker than Reynor, and that's definitely a bit surprising given how this game has played out so far, since Solar obviously started off with the 12 pull, didn't find crazy damage, had to cancel the third hatch. He is floating some minerals, not too many. Reynor is kind of going to test the waters here, see what's possible. I do believe that the roach counts are relatively close. It's 9 versus 11 at this point. Couple of roaches of Reynor do get surrounded. First one still lives, and it still lives. You can even morph that into a Ravager to be really annoying. Feels like Reynor is in the end getting a pretty good fight here because he has more roaches, but of course we are fighting closer to Solar's defensive reinforcements. I think Reynor overall is alright with that trade. The economies are definitely spiraling out of control. A 14 worker lead for the Italian is massive. Solar, he's just gonna go for it, like maybe some Ravager Ling, right?
Yeah, no, that's what it's got to be. The problem is he
has
lost
no
so
gas.
many, well, he has no gas. He lost so many of his lings, so the potential of surrounding his opponent, getting those corrosive biles, just everything about the concept of that, it doesn't line up with what he would want to do. The concept is great.
Yeah, but he doesn't indeed, he's not mining enough gas either.
Yeah.
Like if Solar decides to attack, he's going to be floating a lot of money. Even if he builds nothing but links from here on out, I do think that Solar is going to have a hard time spending his money. But make no mistake, this is it. This game will end in the next 90 seconds. Solar is going to try to end it with absolutely nothing but roaches and Zerglings and more Zerglings. This time around, Reynor does build a spine crawler. He's got a 23 drone lead. Like, that's pretty outrageous. But at the same time, the army supplies are pretty close. Solar walks into a concave, but he knows that he has no choice. He just absolutely has to go for it. He has committed to this strategy, has committed to this attack. The lanes are going to make a tiny difference, but it feels there is just way too much purple over here, Steadfast.
Absolutely. Reynor once again on the ropes, down 0-2. Not going to let it slip away. He's going to be able to send this one to a Game 5. Solar, he doesn't want to accept the writings on the wall, but there we go. GG gets called. Reynor. Oh, man, the tenacity of this kid, you got to respect it.
Never count him out. We saw that the year that he won the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. Of course, that was online, but he's done it offline as well, time and time again in the past. Just like Sarah has done it so many times in his glory days, where people get them on the ropes, but they are not able to KO them. And what looked like was going to be a bit of a disaster best of 5 for Reynor. Suddenly now all comes down to a single best of 1. Our final map was Waterfall. Did I see that correctly? We haven't seen it yet. Yes,
look at that.
is.
Look at production right there. They've been on point this weekend, haven't they?
They absolutely have. Waterfall, ZVZ, best of 1. Winner will advance. Loser, well, can just enjoy Utrecht. I do smell, you know, some nice food again. We have been treated like kings over here by TeamLiquid. They've got a great cafeteria. I don't know how these guys do it, but each and every single day, fresh ingredients, and it tastes amazing. It's like I live on microwave meals normally, man. This is a whole new experience for me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like, oh, like so where'd you guys like Uber Eats this from? And they're like, no, it's from scratch. And they're like, you mean you scratched your car on the way? I'm so sorry about that. No, it has been
great.
Unreal. So good. We are going to be getting into the game very shortly. This is so interesting because we're looking now at a very interesting game. You've mentioned already that, well, that's been the story of this series already, hasn't it? Is can Reynor figure out the insert Reynor, or can Reynor insert? No, wow. Can Reynor figure out insert Reynor's phrase for it? What Solar is doing?
Oh, or
Ooh.
are we gonna switch things up over here in Game 5? And that seems to be the case. Wow. In the top right side of Waterfall, one of the smallest maps in this map pool, we're looking at the main base of the Italian Stallion, and he's the one 12 pulling. This is a Reynor. That's big.
That's big. That's big energy right there. Spawning down to the bottom left. He was up 2-0, and now he faces elimination. For Onside Gaming, it's Solar. And he's going for that hatch first.
Will it be gas before? I have the feeling that Solar will not think of Reynor 12 pulling it off, because Solar will just think like Reynor is overly confident. He will always believe that he has to be just safe and then he's going to be fine. So I can be as greedy as I want to be. Will it be a gas or will it be a pull? Now, it doesn't necessarily end there, but it obviously depends a little bit what Reynor decides to do as well. It is an extractor before the spawning pull too. We saw Reynor lose 2 drones in the previous game. I am very, very certain that Solar is going to end up losing a few more than 2 here. But the real question is, of course, how many is it going to be in the end? It will be an expand behind this for Reynor. So Reynor is not doing something super weird, like we're going to pull the drones and build spine crawlers or build a spine in the dark. But this is going to be hard because this is a much smaller map than Tropical Sacrifice. We can see Solar's reaction there. He sees the links. He's like, really? You? I'm supposed to be the one doing this. Why are you 12 pulling me?
That's illegal. You can't do that. So, immigration, somebody get him out of here. We are going to be seeing, like you said, the shortest map. Well, no, sorry, not the shortest map. One of the shortest maps. Much shorter than Cosmic Sapphire, then Tropical Sacrifice, then all the big maps we're used to. This is going to be so scary. We're going to have to see Solar pulling a lot more drones. The hatchery's HP already getting quite low. I'm really worried. Ooh, one drone does go down.
Yep, and that hatch is definitely starting to run low on HP. Solar's going to have to commit a little bit more. So far, I don't hate what Solar is doing, but this is obviously where things get really scary. We've lost 2 drones so far. We end up losing a Ling immediately. And a Ling fight on the left side, that doesn't seem to be going too poorly for Solar, but we're going to end up losing 2 more drones, so we're now looking at 4 drones, and all the Lings is still alive. Reynor is definitely doing a very good job. Wins the Ling skirmish there at the bottom too. Oh my goodness. Reynor doesn't 12 pull often, but when he does, well, it definitely looks pretty damn good. 4 drones and a decent amount of Lings. Gets another one for good measures. Oh, well. Can we take a look at all the units that have gone down? Because I think they've lost the same amount of Lings, but then Reynor also killed 4 drones. Needless to say, this went a lot better than the 12 pull Solar in the previous game. But then, of course, we have to mention that this map is a lot smaller than Tropical Sacrifice.
Yes, it is. And that's where that's why you noted, does he go gas? Does he go pull? That extra 3 to 4 seconds is everything for something like that. Imagine he gets those Lings out a couple seconds earlier. It's a world of difference. Oh, we are going to see, nice little counterattack right here. Okay, that's actually pretty big. Not only does he get the full scouts, he knows that Ling speed was not yet started. He knows exactly how much gas is mined. Picks off a drone too.
Yeah, but you also lose a few extra Lings. Like, it's kind of necessary, of course, to get these kinds of scouts in. So it's not that Solar really could have done much otherwise. And grabbing the drone is nice, but by losing these Lings, that kind of forces you to build a few more defensive units. Solar fires up the lair, by the way. That is a ridiculously quick lair, considering the fact that we have dealt with a 12 pull. We were forced to pull the drones. We were not mining for a little while, and we're still looking at a pre-4-minute lair.
Yeah, well, you say it forces you to build those Lings. In theory, it does. But what if Solar just doesn't? What if he just doesn't and instead plays a little bit greedier? And that's exactly what we're seeing right here. You talked about that quick layer. It's got the Evo chamber. It looks like to Reynor, it's going to be a 2-base play.
Reynor is going to punish him, though.
Oh, he's going to try. And that creep tumor actually could be the death of Solar, potentially. Oh, just kidding. Wow, very smart. very smart
It's
that he
still
sets
a
that
big
up.
gap. Like 2 queens is not necessarily enough there,
No,
right?
it's not. No, it's
Huh.
not. But he can build an Evo chamber now that'll turn it into a one-building wall.
Yeah, but we're also going to look at a decent amount of links. Raynor actually firing up a few more drones now, while the links have casually made it into the main base. I kind of thought that if Raynor would have just kept building links, because he started building them so early, and then you go for a link bane attack, I don't think that Solar would have been able to hold. Even on 2 bases, that would have been very difficult. Instead, Reynor is going to give Solar all the respect in the world, and he will not pull the trigger. He's just going to go up and enjoy his 3-base economy and drop his own Roach Farm. But he's pretty far behind in the tech department, though.
Yeah, he certainly is. It's going to be... Oh, he just now starts that lair. I wonder if that's a fake. Oh, I wonder if that's a fake, and he's just going to pull the trigger. We'll see in a second. Whenever you start the lair right before, I'm always so suspicious.
That's a decent amount of links, and I don't see too many roaches here, so Reynor gets a little surround on the queen. That queen falls. Nice hold position on the drones there, but still 2 workers end up falling. And the roaches are slow. The links can get a cancel here. Oh, that'd be so big.
That would be quite huge.
Little ring around the rosy. We attack, we move, we attack, we move, we attack, we move. But the roaches are there in time. Ooh, that was close. 2 or 3 extra links, and I think Reynor absolutely commits there to get the cancel.
Yeah, of course he could have committed, and he probably gets that cancel. I'm like 80% sure he gets it, but he loses every lane to do so, or maybe gets away with 1. He wants those lings alive. He wants to be able to keep tabs on what Solar is doing. Right now, he is more concerned about the information war. This is all about how you approach the matchup overall. We've got Solar a little bit more willing to maybe cut some corners here and there and be the one who's, you know, like, okay, I want to steal this game away from you just a little bit. We know that Solar is a phenomenal player, obviously.
Well, he's going to try with perhaps this attack, as we do fire up a couple of drones behind this for Solar. I find that a bit weird, because this does seem like a big commitment already. He's 12 workers behind. Nice save there on one of the roaches. He's going to try to get lucky. Can right-click a couple of queens. Reynor needs to wait for his reinforcements. They're not quite here yet, so Solar is actually getting a phenomenal fight with +1 missile attacks. Gets all 3 queens there. Gets queen number 4. Are you kidding? That's actually way better than I thought Solar was going to do with this attack. And that definitely is the kind of stuff that he needs to just stay in this game, because it was looking pretty dire on paper. But that was actually a phenomenal trade for Solar.
Yeah, and to that point, even after that, where that was looking kind of threatening, like obviously we see the production tabs, you know, with Waterfall being so short, you always wonder, like, is this just going to kill him? But even without that, we now see a huge supply lead for Reynor. But he's not going to be able to explode the way he wants to out of it because of the loss of all those queens. How many queens does he have right now? I believe he's already rebuilt 1, but yeah, no, he did get knocked down to 0 queens for a very brief period of time. That's tough as a Zerg player, but now, oh wow. Wow, he is just going to pull the trigger, and now it's his turn.
Yeah, doubling the army supply. Reynor, who was down 0-2 in this best of 5, is now doubling the army supply on a very small map. Solar, meanwhile, has invested in a lot of extra drones to catch up, has now even taken the drone lead from being very far behind, investing in 2 upgrades at the same time, but none of that is going to help him here against the silly amount of roaches that Reynor is working with. And like so many times in his career, it seems like the kid from Italy has done it again. An 0-2 deficit is never going to stop him from believing of getting the job done. Wow, he just does it again. Down 0-2, stays in life in TSL 9 and moves into the next round of this tournament. I mean, that's... How many times has he done this?